So let's start today's session. So the last session we discussed about configuring domain. So that was one of the important class in order to understand the MCSE. So we have seen like how to install Active Directory on a machine, how you make a domain controller, and at the time of installing Active Directory, we have gone through many requirements. The requirement related to like tree, forest, or it may be like DNS settings. Okay. So after the installation of Active Directory, even we also discussed about like how to make a client. Okay. So in today's class, we'll be discussing about one of the basic class for MCSE, and we already have a lot of idea about the user account, but at least one time we need to learn this. Okay. So in today's class, we are going to see what is actually account and what is the purpose of account in company, how to create, and what is the actual difference between like the account that we use in our personal machine and the account that we use in company, and uh, so what kind of account in company we use and how to use and how to log in, and we'll try to discuss some more detail in here. So first of all, so the last session we already discussed like whenever you install any Windows operating system, okay, it may be a server, it may be a client, it may be XP. So when you install any Windows operating system, by default, two accounts created. We call it as a built-in account. So built-in account. So one of the account which is by default created, we call it as administrator, and one of the account we call it as a guest account. So these are the two accounts by default created when you install any Windows operating system. So first of all, let us understand what is the actual difference between admin and guest account. Like, so first of all, let us understand like what is the actual difference between admin and guest account. Okay. So administrator is like one of the account where he can have a, the complete privilege. Okay. Now in simple word, I can show you the example. Okay. So administrator as well as a guest. Administrator I can represent is like a owner. Guest is like a visitor. Okay. So now we can understand like the difference between owner and visitor. Okay. Suppose I have a property. This is my property. I have my home. Okay. I'm the owner of a computer. I'm the owner of this home. So what I can do, owner means I have complete privilege. I can do anything what I want. Okay. But if you say if any guest comes to your home, let's say if I go to your home, so I cannot, by default, I'll be having restriction, as an administrator, I'm not giving any restriction to guest account. Guest account is by default restricted. Okay. Restriction in the sense when if you log in as guest account on a computer, he cannot able to install application, he cannot remove application, as well as he cannot do the setting, he cannot create account, as well as maximum he cannot do anything. So the thing like why we log in as guest account, so when if you log in as guest account on a machine, now he can able to use this computer. He can open partition, he can see what the data is available, he can able to open application, he can perform he can able to perform the task on application. Okay. Now if internet is available, he can use internet. If the printer is connected, he can use printer. So that means he can do lot of things here, but he cannot do the changes, whatever the changes which is actually done by the admin. If you are an administrator, so you are like a owner of this machine, you can do anything. Not only you use, even you can also change, you can also perform a different tasks here. Okay, so we have very simple. So guest account basically we use for two reasons. One is to access internet, as well as you can also access the resources of network. If I'm a guest account, then even like if the printer is connected, I can access. So these two accounts are by default created. But if I'm using server, in server by default, we only have two accounts. But instead of server, let's say if I install Windows 8, Windows 10, or any client operating system. So apart from these two, even we also have our name account. Okay, compulsory in a personal machine, desktop computer, laptop, you have to make your account. So until you make your account, now you cannot able to use your device. This is the condition which is actually coming in these days. So previously, like if you, when you talk about XP, when you talk about the old operating system, we can use computer only by guest or only by administrator account. But in today's time, we also need to create account by your name. Okay, why? Because this is my laptop. I have to create my identity here. So basically, so by default, like when you make first account, so this account can be act as administrator, even though the name is not admin, but this name, this account can be act as an administrator where he can do all the tasks, removing application, formatting, if you want to do the setting, if you want to download, whatever he want, he can do. This account by default has a, a privilege of administrator. But in terms of server side, we have only two accounts. One is administrator as well as guest. And today we are going to see like how to create a different account in server and what is the reason why we make, why we need to do to create multiple accounts here. Okay. So first of all, what is an account? Account, basically we call it is a record that contains a unique user information such as like name, password, contact, address, and all the login restrictions. So that enable a user to log in and can access the information of a computer or a network. Okay. So in short, I can say account is nothing but if any employee joins a company. Okay. So last time, like we already created a network. So this is my network. On the network, we have already installed AD. So this is my server. On the top of server, I also have a lot of clients. Okay. So in a company, let's say we'll be having suppose 300 employees. Okay. So if any person joins a company, one of the duty of administrator, now you have to create account for every person so that he can able to log on to the machine as well as he can able to perform the task of company. Okay. So he will log into this computer and he start working for company. Okay. So each and every person has different tasks. Somebody may be like AutoCAD engineer, somebody may be software engineer, somebody may be like administrator, somebody may be like a manager of a company. So whatever the task given by a company to these particular people, they do a different task by logging to different machine. So we cannot say like simply we have one machine, log in all the people. No. So every employee, you can have a separate device. And on the particular device, whenever you want to do a task, when you want to perform any operation, compulsory we need to have account. Okay. So user account actually contains some information that will be related to the name of a person. It may be a password. Its contact means like telephone number, address, all the restrictions. Like even with the help of this account, the user can able to log in. And once he log in, he can access the data of a machine, or he can also access the data of a network. Either he access the information, whatever the data which is available here. Even he can also access data which is available on different machines. Okay. So this is the purpose of user account. So without user account, you cannot do any task. Okay. Simply I'll say like even if I'm using my personal machine, when you do something, you need to log in. To log in, compulsory you require a name, you require a password. So this name and password we represent as a user account. Okay. So when you talk about users, basically we have two main categories. There are two categories. One of the account we have local account, which is also called local user, and we also have domain user as well as we can say domain account. Okay. So from today onwards, whenever I say in my class user, so by default you need to understand I'll be talking about a domain user. Okay. So the question comes, why the company prefer a domain account? Why not local? What's the problem? Okay. So the first difference between like local and domain account, local is account created on a local machine, local computers. Okay. Now example for the local machine. So local computer, which is actually connected in a work group, means it may be your personal machine. It may be a computer which is on a work group network. Last time we talked about the work group. So if it, even in network also, if you have a work group machine, so work group, if you create account, by default, I can say that account is local. That means maybe the computer may be having like XP operating system, Vista, Windows 7, Windows 10, or it may be like a standalone server or member server. So when you make this account on these particular devices, you can directly say this is a local account. Okay. Whereas domain account, especially created on Active Directory. And The machine where you install AD, we represent that machine as a domain controller. Okay. So the simple difference is local account can be created on any machine. It may be like Vista, Windows 7, Windows 10. It may be any client computer. Whereas domain account especially create on AD. Remember this. Okay. Now, example, let's say in a company, I have a network. So do you think like in a company, if you have 200 server, so complete 200 server will not be installing AD. So for installing AD, you will be having one particular device. Maybe for maintaining backup, we can have another. But even though in a company, if you have multiple server, like you have, you will be having your SQL server, you have your DHCP server, even though you have hundreds of servers, so we are not making account on this particular server. And remember, I'm not saying local account created on client, domain account created on server. I'm not saying this. Domain account will be created on Active Directory, that is especially on a domain controller. So the machine where do you have AD? Okay, so AD we actually use to maintain the database of a network. One of the database Active Directory maintain the information of employee. So whoever join a company and whoever want to log in somewhere, who want to perform a task on a network, so that person need to have account, and that account will be creating on our server. That is our first difference. The second difference, which is very, very important, the database of local account will be stored on SAM, whereas database of domain account will be stored on Active Directory data store, that is Active ADDS. Okay, now let's see what is this. Now let's say I have a machine, I have my laptop, and on the top of this laptop, I'll be having a Windows 10 operating system. On this particular computer, and see, by default, two accounts available like admin and guest. This is by default available. I'm not talking about this. So once I install operating system, let's say I create account by the name sales1. Okay, not sales1. Let's talk about some name. I create account by the name Jack, and I also create account by the name. Maybe I create account by the name Khan. These two accounts I created. Okay. So at the time of login, suppose the machine will ask you like, who are you? So here I'll be giving the name of a user. I'll be giving as sales1, and here I'll be giving a password, something. So I put a name and I put a password. So when you press enter, so automatically you get errors. So why you get errors? I put a name like sales1, and if I put a password, so why you get error? Why not the machine say you can log in and you can do your task? But how the machine know that that account is not created? I'm a person that, so, yeah, but how that machine maintain, like how that machine actually maintain the information of those people? So what? So normally what happened here? The thing which I want to explain. So whenever you make account, the information of this account will be maintained on your device. You cannot say like you cannot take anybody laptop. You can you just use your name, password. You can log in and you can do anything. So it's still like we don't have this kind of technology. So normally what happens? Whenever you create account, at the time of creating account, we try to use name, we try to use password, we try to give some settings. So these settings of user will be maintained in your machine. Where in that machine? In the operating system drive. In the operating system, we have a folder like Windows. In Windows, we also have a folder like SAM. In SAM, all the security information of user will be maintained. So whenever I put name and password before user login, first request goes to the machine. So where the request goes, it will forward to the operating system drive. It will try to check whether that name is correct, the password is correct. Now, even if you do a small mistake, instead of Jack, if I give Jack1, the computer will not accept that information. Okay? Why? Because the machine only knows the information. So when you put name and password, it will try to verify whether the name is correct, the password is correct. So it will not allow anybody to log in. Why? Because now SAM the meaning of SAM is a security account manager. Okay. So here it is going to maintain the security which is related to account. Okay. So no unauthorized user can be logged into this device. Okay. This is called SAN. Similarly, now when you talk about domain user, the information of domain user will be maintained on a centralized, that is especially on a server. And if anywhere a user wants to log in, so whenever I put name and password, the request automatically will go to my server. It will do the verification, whether the name is correct, the password is correct. All the verification of account will be done by Active Directory, which is one of the security part here. So it allows the user can be log in, or if the name is correct, the password is correct, you can log in and you can do the task. Okay. The next very important difference, like why actually company preferred a domain account, why not we use local? So the main difference is local account can be logged on to the machine where it was created. Means now I'll be having my laptop and here I create account. So in which device I can use? So I have to use account only on a machine where the account is created. I cannot able to use this account on different machine. Even though if I have multiple laptop and both the laptop belongs to me, so I cannot able to use account which I created on one machine that cannot be used to different machine. So this is the main drawback. So I have to log on to the machine where that account is created. Whereas the main feature of domain, like where, why actually you created a corporate network. Okay. So one of the example, even we can understand, like if you create account in Gmail, so you cannot say like Gmail, you have to connect only from your laptop, only from your desktop, or only from like a particular device. So if you want to access a email from your Gmail, so you can able to connect from anywhere. Okay. So either you can connect from your laptop, you can connect from a mobile, it may be connect from anywhere. Only you need to have internet connection. Why? Because that information is centralized. Okay. So Gmail is somewhere available in network. Over the network, whenever you put your name, whenever you put your password, it will do some kind of verification, then you can connect. Similarly, now when you talk about the local network, so local network, I'll be having like a dedicated server where the information of my company will be maintained here in terms of my database AD, and you will be having different devices here. You have a client. So if anybody want to log in, so the person, what he will do, he just put a name. Okay. So I'll put a name like Khan, I'll put a password. So before the user login, before the user perform, before the user do anything on a machine, now this computer automatically forward request to the AD. In Active Directory is going to verify whether that name is correct, the password is correct. Now, if all the information is correct, now you can log in. Once the user login, that is different part again. Maybe he can access the resources of this machine. Maybe he can access the resources of network. So in coming classes, we try to discuss that, like what the user he can do. Okay, that is different part. But normally is the user has privilege. Not only he log into this machine, next time he can log into PC5, next time he can log into PC10, or he can log into any device on a network. So local account will be logged into a specific device where account is created, whereas domain account can be logged on to each and every device which is connected on your domain. The next important difference is local account can be access the resources of computer, whereas domain account can access the resources of network. Okay, so here we have a difference, like local account can access only resources of computer. Example, I already log in. So as a person, what I can do, I can access all the data of my computer. I can use application. I can able to open my partition. If printer is connected to my computer, with the help of my credential, I can directly access my printer. Okay. But instead of that, let's say if you have a small network, I have a machine and I also have another machine here. Both the machine I connected by cable. Okay, so this is PC5 and this is PC10. So this is a workgroup network. So printer I connected, even though it's a network. So directly I cannot say like if the printer is connected to this computer, so the person who's sitting here, he cannot access the printer of this device unless until he know the name and password of this machine. Means unless until he know the account information of this device. So over the network, I cannot able to connect to that printer. So local account, the person who's sitting here, he can access everything of a device, but he cannot access the resources of network direct unless until he know a name and password of that device. Whereas domain account not only access the resources of computer, He can also access the resources of network. Okay, everything is done. So the next thing is how to create a local account. Now let's come to the practical. Okay, well, I told you like it's very simple class. So how do you make a local account? So local account can be created by multiple methods. Okay, and at least remember one of the method. Don't try all. Okay, but for practice you can do all the method, but even you can remember at least one method. So the first method you can open control panel. Okay, so where is control panel? Okay, so you can go your start menu, and here you have a control panel. No tile. So okay, so you can write CON. Yeah, we got that. Control panel. Open a control panel. On the top of control panel, we have a separate option. The name of the option we have user account, and here you can see. Here you have to click the option. Change manage another account, and right now you can see some accounts I already created. So one of the accounts which I'm using here, administrator. This is the built-in account, and I also have my name account. Why? Because this is my property, and I created my name account here, and I also created one account, Ravi Teja. And here you can also have one more account like guest account, and guest account right now is disabled, is not displaying here. If you enable it, you can also see that. Okay, like admin is enabled here, you can see. So this is a method we can able to create. Instead of creating account from the control panel, I'll show you another method. You can right click on computer. We can able to see one option, manage. This option also helps you to create account. So you can just simply right click on computer, select manage. And one of the screen which is open here, the name of the screen we call as computer management. So in computer management, we have multiple options. Okay. So we have option like task scheduler. We also have event weaver. We have shares. We also have local users, performance, device manager, disk management. Okay. So apart from all, one of the options you have to click local users and groups, and we have to go with the folder users. Okay. So the name of the screen, I told you, this is computer management, and here you can see multiple accounts. So apart from all, one of the account is built-in is administrator. There is another guest, and right now you can see guest is disabled. So when you install VMware application, even you can see that this account is also available, but we never use it. If you remove that application, automatically this name also removed from your device. So here I have guest account. I also have Ravi. I also have my name account. So these accounts are available right now in my computer. Okay. So simple right click and say manage. You can open it. Instead of that, you can also use command to open that screen. The command we have comp mgmt.msc. So you can use the command comp means computer management. So short form for the computer management. So comp is a shortcut for the computer. Mgmt for the shortcut for the management. .msc. This is for the Microsoft command. So you can say OK. You also have same screen. You got the same screen. But the thing is, here you can see multiple options. I want only this local accounts and groups. For that, I'll show you one special command that is available in Windows 10. In all operating system, we don't see, like if you are using XP or Vista, Windows 7. So that command, you cannot use that. So just go run, and here you can write lusrmgr.msc. This is for the local account manager.msc. So when you use this command, it will show you only the screen where you can see only account information, nothing else. No disk management, no device manager, nothing. So here you can open a user folder, and here you can able to create. So if you want to make account, so see one more thing, the account which is by default available, admin account. So that account you cannot even delete. So here it's clearly saying So you are about to delete an administrator account. So I'll say okay. So cannot perform this operation on built-in account. So the account which you have not created, even you cannot delete also. But the account which I already created, I can delete. This is created. Created account can also delete it. Okay. So how to create new account? So personally, if you want to make many accounts, you can create simply. You can right click on user and say new user. So here we have multiple options like is asking about the name, is asking about the password. Okay. So anybody tell me like how many character we can use for the name? So when you create account for the personal machine, at least minimum you have to give how many character? At least minimum one character. At least minimum one. Okay. So 5 means, let's say I want to create account by the name Ali. So for me, it's not possible to have account by name Ali. You can. You can create account by the name Khan. You can also have account by the name Ali. You can have account by the name Sam. Any account you can create by name. So at least one character, something you have to give. Maximum 20 characters. So local account can accept maximum up to 20 characters. Okay. How? Let's see. I have to write a very big name. Okay, I'm just writing number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Again, I'm writing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so 10 plus 10, 20. Now, if I'm going to write anything, so it is not accepting. So that means maximum it accepts the 20 characters. So when you do practical, you can do by yourself. Okay, why? Because I cannot show my keyboard all the keys. So I'm writing here, but it's not accepting. So maximum it accepts the 20 characters. So I'll create account here by the name Sayyed. The full name, it will be like a Sayyed Yunus. So who is this person? So you can put any description. So writing anything on description doesn't mean he will become. Okay. If I have account and I on a description, if I write like he's a manager, so he will not become manager. So description is our for understanding who is this person. Okay. So what about the password? So if you make a local account, in local account there is no such condition. If you want, you can put a password. If you don't want, don't give. So without password also there is a possibility to create account in your machine. Okay. So password basically we use for security. If you want, you can give a password. If you don't want, don't give. Simple. Okay. Now, suppose if somebody wants to give a password for making a local account. So if you want to give a password, even there is no condition, you can give anything what you like. Okay. I can put in numbers. I can, I can use only like my name. I can also use maybe some symbols. I can also use numbers. Whatever you want, you can give it. First of all, see, there is no condition to even give a password. If you are giving something, you can give anything, whatever you like. Okay. So I'll be giving a password like 1, 2, 3. Okay. And this option I'm going to explain when I'm going to create a domain account, because in a local account, we don't have all this important for this option. So just let me create. So once you create, automatically you can see one account created by the name Sayyed Yunus, and whatever you have given on description is displayed here. If you want to reset a password, you can right click and say reset password, and whatever the password you want, you can give it. So once account created, you can log off, and from here you can log in. Okay. So right now here you can see. So like admin, I also have account by the name Sayyed Yunus. So this account I can use to log in. So if I click, automatically it is going to log off. So if I log off again, this session will be closed. So I don't want to log off here. So let it be. So this is our local account. Local account will be logged on to this personal machine. Now, the next very, very important concept is how to create a domain account. So domain account can be created especially on a domain controller. Okay. And let me So where do we make domain account? So domain account will be created especially on a domain controller. So domain controller is one server where you have AD installed. Okay. So last time, if you remember, we even talked about like creating a domain. We install Active Directory. So once the installation done, so now I'll be logging here. So the name of the domain we have given onlinemcsc.com. And here, let's say we try to log in here. Loading. So online MCSE, and I'll be logging as admin account. Oh. Now we log in as administrator here. So the next thing, last time we talked about like 3 categories in server: standalone, domain controller, as well as member server. So normally, how to know this is my domain controller, this is a standalone server, or this is a member server? So first, let us understand some differences, like how we can say this machine is having AD, this machine is having only the client, this machine is only a new server. So standalone is nothing but only a fresh operating system. Okay. So the first method is like if you go the properties of computer. So just right click on computer, you can go properties. Even you can see from server manager also. So just right click on computer and select properties. So first of all, here is showing server. This is 2015 server. Server means there will be 3 chances. This is maybe a domain controller, this is maybe a member server, or this is maybe standalone. Okay. So whenever you have a server, and if a server here, if it show you work group, right now it's domain. So instead of domain, if you have work group, by default you will say that is a standalone server. Standalone means only a new operating system. That machine is not a part of a network. That will be only a new machine. Okay. So either you install in AD on that, you can have Exchange on that. We can configure different services. Okay. So here, so right now the machine saying domain. So that means there will be 2 chances. This machine may be a domain controller, or this machine may be a member server. Okay. But one thing you can say that this machine is not a standalone. But how to differentiate whether it's a domain controller or member server? So click, you have to go with change setting. So once you click change setting, you'll be getting another screen from where you can go change. So when you click change, suppose if you get this warning message, he's saying domain controller cannot be moved from one to other domain. That means this machine is having Active Directory installed. Okay. This is a domain controller. If it's a member server, then you can also remove this machine from online MCSE. You can discontinue from network. Similarly, when you open server manager, here also you can see one services available, Active Directory domain services, one more service is there, DNS. So when you see both the services on one device, directly you can say this is also a domain controller. Apart from that, when you go tools, on the top of tools, you can also have multiple options. So when you install AD, automatically you will be getting this option. Okay. So one of the options we have like Active Directory, administrative templates, domain and trust, model PowerShell, site and services, users and computers, multiple options. Even if you go start menu, On the start menu, we also have option like adversary tool. On the adversary tool, we also get this option. Okay. So with the help of this option, directly we can say this is a domain controller where AD is running, AD is installed. Okay. Now in today's session, so we'll be talking about like creating accounts. So one of the responsibility of an administrator, if any employee joins the company and that person, when he wants to do something, when he wants to perform, when he wants to use computer, so we need to create account. To create account, we have to open an option here, Active Directory users and computer. That will be a centralized option. So just click that option. And here you can see the name of my domain is online MCSE. Open it and you can go a user folder. So as I told you, once you install Active Directory, so here, one of the default account we have admin and one more default account we have guest. But apart from that, I don't have any other account here. Okay. So there will be 2 accounts by default created here. Now to create more accounts, you can right click on a folder user, new, and here you have to click user. So now the machine is asking like name. So how many characters for the name, minimum or maximum? So when you make account in your Active Directory, minimum you have to give 1 character, maximum you can give 256 characters. Okay. And I already given you the note. You can open the file for user account, and if you go down, you have the requirement. So requirement for making account. So what you need to remember, so this requirement for if you make account in AD, then only you need to remember this. If you make account in personal machine, there is no condition. Okay. So the first condition here is the name can be span up to 256 characters. How we can use 256 characters? So here I can put a login name, maximum 256 characters it will support. So that means if a person is having big name, that name also we can use for the login purpose. And that is a theoretical part. 256 means it's not a joke. So you have to even remember like what account, what name you are giving. Even you have to remember that. Okay. So just for creating account, so we have to use the name. The first name Muhammad, last name so Muhammad Taqi. Okay, so I'll be giving this name. So the thing is, the account which I'm going to create, that account is going to use by company employee. That account is not using by admin, right? So if that person is going to log on, so what name he will use? So he's going to log in by Muhammad or Taqi, or he will log in as Taqi Muhammad. Okay. So this is one of the important options you can see here. So we can decide the login name for this employee. So either you can give Muhammad or you can give Taqi. You can put any, even you can put a number. You can give any name. Okay. So whatever the name decided by the company, you can put any name. Okay. So let me give a name here. Let's say I want to use the name Muhammad, but the complete name will be Muhammad Taqi. So, but when I'm going to log in, so I have to use the name of the user is Muhammad. Next, whatever the password. So password is compulsory. The second condition is, you can see, so the password is must. So when you create account in 2003, 2008, 2012, or 2016, even in 19, so when you make account in server, why? Because like even in Gmail also, you cannot create account without password. Password is compulsory. So until you give a password, you cannot able to create it. So if you don't give, so the computer will automatically give you one error here. So Windows cannot create an object like Muhammad Taqi because unable to update the password. So the value provided for a new password does not meet the length, complexity, or history requirement of the domain. The password is compulsory. But how many characters? Minimum you have to give 7 characters. And one more thing you need to understand here. So the name should not contain the special characters. Special means you cannot put a name, login name like Muhammad again @ So what is @ At the rate, again, first of all, it is a symbol, means it is a special character. You cannot put Muhammad percentage. Okay, there are some special character you cannot use by name. Here I have already written. So the name should be unique, and this name should not contain special characters. All this comes under special character. So the password is compulsory, and this password minimum you require 7 characters. Okay, for Gmail, Yahoo, Hotmail, the public email server, they have a policy to have account password minimum 8 characters. Okay, but for our local network, when you create account in our server, minimum 7 characters. But these 7 characters you cannot give whatever you want. So these 7 characters should be complex. Complex means the 7 characters should have a lowercase, means small letters, capital letters, number, and symbol. Okay, whatever you want, you can give it, but it should be complex. And password maximum you can give 127 character, and this is also a theoretical part. They never give 127 character to somebody. So give a name. See, you can see. So when I try to put name as well as symbol, it will try to show you, will replace. Okay, so I don't want this. Remove this at the rate. Next, what about the password? So I'll be giving a password here. Let's see something I'm giving. So when you give a password, here you have certain option. Okay, so this option I didn't explain in local account. Why? Because in local account, nobody log in all the time. Means personally we use only our machine. But domain account, you can see you have multiple accounts. So the first option is by default check. User must change login first time. User must change password at the next login. So whenever you create account, make sure this check mark is available. So why you need to why you have to give that check mark? What's the important? So let me explain here, like why we need to put this check mark. Let's say I work in a company. In a company, I have hundreds of people. Let's say this is my company network, and I'll be having servers there. I create all the accounts, and on the network, I also have the clients. I all have many employees who can able to work in a company. Okay. So total in a company, let's say I have 600 employees. So who create account for these people? So by default, we say now there is administrator in company who can make all account for the employee. So whoever joins the company, all the account for the employee will be given by administrator to the employees. So is it possible for administrator to remember all the time the password of employee? Okay. So it's not possible. Like, you know, sometimes we don't remember our own password. And even like in today's time, password means in our case, we have a lot of categories in password. If I have account in Gmail, then there is a password. If I have account in Yahoo, password. Hotmail, there is a password. Even like if I have account in Amazon, if I have account in Flipkart, different categories we have in a password. Even you cannot put a same password everywhere. So to remember password, it becomes like a headache. You know, administrator cannot remember the password for all hundreds of people. Okay. So in a company, there will be a policy. Okay. So now what happened here? If as an administrator, whenever I'm creating a password, I'll be giving a password like the capital P at the rate SS W0. Suppose I decided. So whenever I create account, I have to give this password for all the people, maybe a manager, maybe my, the sales people, marketing people, whoever I create account for my company. So as admin, I'll be giving this password. As well as I have to put a check mark, and the reason for putting check mark. So when you put check mark, what the user will do, first time he use this password, next time he change by himself. Means whatever the password liked by the user, he give his own password, and every time he can log in by his own password. So even as an administrator, we cannot see what password user is using. Okay? But in case if he forget, then from our server we can simply reset a password. So that is the reason like why we need to use this password. So this option says first time the user will use this password, and next time he change the password whatever they like. If I put check mark to second option say user password cannot be changed. Sometimes like I don't want the people of company, they change the password. So there is a condition. So maybe I have some security people. I also have some, some of the people from sales. I don't want to change. All the time, many times they are, misusing the password. Okay, every day, or maybe in a week, 3 day, week in 1 week, 3 days, they are complaining about the password. So I don't want to change all the time. So what I do, I just give only one password. I put a check mark. So when they try to change, the computer says, well, you don't have permission. So they work according to admin password. Password never expires. So when you put check mark, so whatever password I'm giving, the default validity for the password is 42 days. That means I just create account today. So how many times the user can use his password? Tomorrow he use, maybe after 1 week he can also use that. Maybe after 10 days, 10, 20 days, 30 days. So after some time, before 42 days, if I don't put check mark, I start getting one pop up here. Okay, so your password is going to change next 5 days. Please change. Okay, again I neglected, means I ignore that. So next day again, if I log in, again you get the same message. Your password is going to expire next 4 days, 3 days, 2 days. If I ignore all the time, so when the time comes, compulsory on the screen itself it give you the error. Now you have to change the password compulsory. So the default policy of the Microsoft is 42 days, but you can change to 90 days, 60 days, 120 days. That it depends on the requirement. But if you put check mark, that means these passwords can be used forever by user. Means that password cannot be changed. The last option is account is disabled, and the meaning for the disable is when when account is disabled, you cannot log in. Like here, account disable is guest. So if I want to use a guest account, so that account cannot be logged in. Okay, that is a useless. So we disable when somebody left the company or somebody like go for vacation. So maybe for 1 month, 2 months. In that time, I don't want anybody in company or any colleague in company use his account. I can disable that. Okay. So remember all these options. So first option I'm selecting now, next and finish. So the first account I created here by the name Muhammad. Now I'll create another account. So I can create account by the name Jack here. So I'm not giving multiple names here. So I just put only login name also same, display name also same. And here I'll be giving password. And I don't want these passwords changed by user when he log in. So I want he use only the password which I'm giving. Next and finish. So we created account in server, and don't log into the server itself. You have to go to the client device. We created first client. And even you have to remember like what IP you have given here. So the IP which I configured just last time on my server. So IP config. So IP here I'll be using like 10.1.1.1. I'll go to my first client. So here you have to click other user, name of the user. See right now you can see by default itself is saying online MCSE. This is the client. So here I'll put a name. So the first account which I created, Mohammed, Muhammad. You can put a password. So when any employee want to log into a client, so here there will be 3 methods. So I can put direct name and password. That is okay. Apart from that, I can use an email ID, Muhammad@onlinemcsc.com. This is the second method. Or else you can also put a name like this. So before the name of a user, we can also mention the domain name. So the name of the domain is online MCSE / the name of the domain name of user is Muhammad. You can log in. So when you press enter, so it's saying like the password. What is saying? So we'll be getting one message the user password must be changed before signing in. Why? Because we selected the first option, means whatever password given by admin, user already done. But the machine saying, boss, okay, that password compulsory you have to change in order to use your account. So you cannot say cancel here. Compulsory you have to say okay. And now the password will be creating by user. So this is the old password created given by admin. So I'll be giving a new password. So user itself, he will give a password. So this password only known by the user is only. So the password change, the request will go to the server. In Active Directory, the password is going to be updated. Okay, so the password has been changed. Now login. Okay, so the name of the user is Mohammed Taqi. Now, similarly, I also have another machine, and let's talk about some troubleshooting. Okay, okay. So I want your concentration. Like, I also have another client. So I go with this option like other user. So this machine is also client for MCSE, online MCSE. Okay. So here I'll be using a name Jack and the password. So when I press enter, I'll be getting one error. There are no currently servers available to service the logon request. So why will be getting this error? So this error you will get if your machine is disconnected on the network, or maybe the computer is not able to contact to the server, or sometime if you change the IP, you will be getting this error. Okay. So what we need to do here in this case, why? Because this is my virtual machine. So I'll be logging the local account which I already created here. So I'll be logging by my local account. First of all, let us take the connectivity. If the connectivity is there, then we'll try to sort out some other reason. This is another client which is now going to log in. So the IP of my server is 10.1.1.1. Let me see the connection. So to check connectivity, we'll be using a command ping. So now I log in here. So first thing, if I see my IP address, IP config. Now you can see the IP address of this computer is, what's the IP? 192.168.0.3. But this IP is not a part of my network. I'm using in my domain 10 series. And how it's possible, like if I want to communicate to this machine by 10, 192 series. Okay. So sometime if you have this kind of issue, so change this IP. To change the IP, we have to use a command ncpa.cpl. Why? Because this computer is a part of a network. Everything is okay. The only problem here is communication. So the name of this machine is PC3, and this is a part of onlinemcsc.com. Client is okay, but if you look at IP address, it's not the same, which I'm using for my domain. So go to properties. IPv4. So remove this class C series. So the name of this machine is PC3. So I'll be giving IP here 10.1.1.3, or what is the name? I don't remember. Let me check again. Host name. Yeah, PC3. So we can give IP here 10.1.1.3 subnet mask, and don't forget to give DNS. DNS is compulsory. 10.1.1.1. This is our server IP. Okay, and close. Now you can log off as a local account. Hang on. So this machine becomes slow. Okay. Now, and one more time, we go all other user. So this time I'll be using a name of a user is Jack. So the problem, it was not in server. The problem is actually on my device. So this machine is actually not a part of my network. Okay. So now what will happen here? So when I put name and password, my request will go to the server. Server will do the verification, whether the name is correct, the password is correct. Now everything is okay. Now the user can log in and he can start using this device. So the user will be logging here. Okay. So this is our today's class. So in today's session, we actually discuss, we talk about two types of user account. One is a local account and another is domain account. Local account basically used to manage our personal machine to perform a different tasks in our day-to-day life, whereas domain account especially used in a company network in order to perform the company task. Okay. So hope you understand today's topic. So if you have any question, we can just ping me. Okay.